fucking would. Okay, welcome to S7E5 Especially Heinous. I'm Gabe.
I'm Tasha. What did you think of this episode?
I was mad through a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to keep being mad. Oh, mad. We're mad.
Yeah. I did think that Gabriel guy had beautiful eyes, though.
I know.
Also, I was like, why is Benson's hair throughout this whole episode?
This season, dude.
But this actual episode is like 4 seasons worth of hairstyles. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
It's like she walked through wind tunnels and then went through where they went the opposite way. I was like, what is happening? It was wild.
I think they were like, we're trying this new technology backstage at SVU, and Mariska Hargitay, it's basically a car wash that you walk through.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, somebody was really Inspector Gadgeting the hair and makeup department.
Well, and the episode only takes place in like 24 hours or something. You know what I mean? When they're actually investigating. And I'm like, why is her hair so big? How did her hair get so little? Like, what's going on?
You know what? Her hair was huge, and then it got flat because of the humidity. And then she did that thing where you flip your head over and you shake it out and you throw it back, which I can't imagine doing that. I would fucking bust 9 vertebrae doing that shit. All right. Hey.
All right. We're on. Welcome to S7E5 Especially Heinous. I'm Gabe. We did that
Tasha.
already.
Yeah.
We are on Season 7, Episode 5, Strain. We're still in 2005, by the way.
Mm-hmm. We'll be here forever.
Yeah. Oh my God. When she made that Osama bin Laden, I was like, that is a low blow. It's 2005.
I know. That was too, I mean, the drama in the courtroom this episode.
I know. And then her reply is like, oh, you don't like cigarettes? I'm like, what?
Let's just get there.
Okay. So... Okay, so a woman and a man are kissing on the sidewalk in the evening, which is...
Sexy time.
Sexy time. Really snogging. The gal must really hate kissing this guy because she gets distracted by the ugliest pair of shoes in a window. Right? And I remember those shoes. I wanted them too. Everybody wanted those shoes.
It looked like she was trying to find a way out. Yeah, it did seem. I thought
she's
that
like, I'm actually gay. Oh my God, those shoes.
What is that?
I miss my roommate. So she's like, oh my God, these shoes.
This is Carol. I'm bringing her to Thanksgiving.
She's like, oh my God, shoes. It's Carol. So she's like, I got to get closer to these shoes and farther away from you.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, I want these shoes so bad. I've been looking for them all over the city. Bitch, they're at Target. I'm telling you.
This is 2005. There's a Payless shoe store in every corner of every
BOGO,
city.
bitch. You can get 2.
Right?
He's like, but look at me. She's like, no. He's like, we'll come tomorrow and get these shoes for you. And she's like, okay, we have to go there the second the store opens. So they keep walking past the display window and they see a fucking nude man propped up on a chair or something. And there's like all this spray paint and shoes everywhere. The woman goes, that's not a mannequin.
She for real goes, wait a second. That fully nude man slumped over in the Payless shoe window isn't a mannequin. Wait a second. I laughed so fucking hard.
It was like she was like glancing over at the camera, like breaking the fourth wall, waiting for like a studio audience to start like laughing. Wait a minute. That's not hands on her hips. That's not a mannequin. That's a fucking dead guy in New York City. She was gonna be
a reoccurring SVU character, but the first one ever to have a catchphrase. Wait a second, and everybody's like, "Oh, here it comes, Carol. Here it comes, Carol."
Later, CSU, Tutes, and Benson are on the scene. A little cutie patootie CSU lady, I don't even remember her name.
Oh, CSU Tech, Millie Viscarando, which Ryan went to Ireland, so she's here. She'll be in 4 episodes this season, O'Halloran. But I started giving her little nicknames like later in the episode. I don't know the boroughs well enough, but I think she's from the Bronx.
Okay.
She's very, very cute. I love her. She was in all the Harold and Kumar movies, the SVU Stepping Stones, Sopranos, Oz. She was in Dangerous Minds. She's also in a movie I can't believe I haven't seen called Adult Beginners with Nick Kroll and a bunch of people. But then I watched the trailer for it and I was like, well, it's kind of one of those like feel-good movies.
Oh.
You'd think it'd be like dumb and hilarious. And it's probably got funny parts, but Nick Kroll's supposed to be this like, oh man, I'm starting over. Gotta live with my sister. I'm a fuck up.
Yeah.
But I learned a lesson from her child or something.
Adam Sandler's done this 50 times. Move on, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay? He really has.
He really has.
He really, Carol. She pops up from behind my computer.
Wait a minute. This isn't an Adam
PC.
Sandler movie.
So this little cutie patootie CSU lady tells Tutes that the man in the window was Robin Weller. He's the manager of the store. His ID was in the pants pockets they found in the storage room. Robin must have come back after the owner closed the shop at 7. He had a key to the store, and there was no sign of a struggle at the front door, so the perp maybe came in after Robin was already inside or with him. Cutie CSU gal says Robin was shot execution style, but there's no blood on his clothing or his body. But she found a bloody sponge in the sink, so the perp cleaned him up.
Yeah, she's like, found this in the sink. It was a dripping, soaking, gigantic car washing sponge.
Yeah, it wasn't like
A few little drops like, hey, this sponge has been wrung out. They were just like, oh, sop it up and get out of here. Why even try to clean it up? Why even wipe it?
Jesus is a best cat.
Sopping up my sands.
So Benson thinks that maybe Robin was forced to take his clothes off, then was sat in the chair and tied up before he was shot. But how
Are you not going to say a goddamn thing about her performance fleece? What is that fucking vest she's wearing? I Googled, when did Old Navy performance fleece come out? Because I was like, this feels like they're trying something and I don't like it.
I didn't even notice.
Oh, God, Gabe.
What's a performance fleece, by the way?
It's like that fleece stuff that makes my fingers feel weird in between it that they sell at Old Navy, or that they used to. It was like, Old Navy, Old Navy, Old Navy performance fleece. Or did I make a jingle just now?
Yeah, I don't like the ways those feel.
No.
Like, no. And like they like zip up. Like, what is that?
Oh my God, I could barf. Yeah. If somebody put one of those on me, don't waterboard me. Put me in a performance fleece and zip it up to my chin. I will fucking feel like I'm dying.
Okay, let's see. But how did he get to the display window? Wonders Tutes. I typed it like that. I got like narrating for like 2 sentences. Cop Cutie says that the chair was then dragged through the store. You can see the drag marks from the chair legs on the floor to the window, and then Robin was lifted up and placed in the chair in the window. There are long window shades that were probably pulled down so that nobody could see in while the perp was doing what he was doing. So when he sat Robin in there, he spray painted killer on the backdrop. And then Benson says, if our dead guy is a killer, who did he kill? Zip, 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 zip. Theme song.
Meow.
At the precinct, Benny, Tutes, and Huang review the crime scene findings.
They're at the dream board that they always cover with 8x10s.
Yeah. Cragen walks in with coffee and says some like lame dad shit. He's like, the early bird catches the perp. Just kidding, guys. How you guys doing?
Yeah. I'm glad that you also noticed that, because the early bird catches the perp. It's like somebody was murdered, put in a storefront fucking window, butt naked, like a fucking Dexter totem. And you're like, who ordered the PSL? Huh? Fall's coming.
It's that time of year.
You know it's fall when you get the pumpkin spice lattes. They roll out.
It's probably Benson, right? Bergamot. Tutes tells him there are a lot of fingerprints to sift through because it's a fucking shoe store. Huang doesn't think that the perp left their prints. Everything was too methodical and planned carefully. Everything was very intentional and meaningful and demure. It's big. And exactly how the perp wanted it. Even if it must have taken a long time, Huang doesn't think that the perp messed up in any way whatsoever. The way the window display was set around Robin's body was theatrical. There were tons of shoes placed around his body, and they all pointed at him like they were standing around him watching him. Huang thinks it was kind of a theatrical statement on judgment towards Robin. Like, we're all looking at you and judging you, but to know more, they got to find out more info on Robin. Tutes picks up a call. Robin's dad is on his way to the morgue to identify the body. I remember this guy, but I couldn't think of it. He was in something.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. In the office of the medical examiner, Robin's dad is there, and he positively IDs his son, but says he looks old for his age. Dick. It's so rude. This guy playing his dad, he's been in a ton of stuff. He was General Gabriel in Iron Man, and he was the grocery store boss in Ted. That's where I remember him from. He last saw his son 6 to 7 months ago after a falling out they had over his mother's death and her care leading up to it. So not an uncommon thing to cause a wedge in a family. He gives Benny and Tutes permission to search Robin's apartment and leaves to go home and make arrangements for the funeral. Coroner Warner stops the detectives on their way out to show them something. A stamp on Robin's hand that says green. It could be from a club near where he was killed.
You know what I thought was really funny about this is she almost like set them up to look stupid. Because the stamp's invisible and Toots is standing there going, what? She goes, hit the lights. And like she could have done that the whole time. Like, idiot. Come on.
You see what I'm talking about? No, you don't. Illusions, Michael.
Yeah, she's the Chris Angel of fucking this precinct.
She's like, I've been levitating this whole time.
For 25 years.
What's under that tarp? It's the Statue of Liberty. Okay.
Oh my God.
We're inside. It's so cute.
It's 2 tigers.
If the stamp was more than a day old, it would have washed off already. So he must have been there last night. Do you smell that? What is that amazing aroma? Are you baking a fresh lead? Yeah.
Are you baking a fresh lead? I can't wait. It's going to come out so warm.
Over at the Green Ballroom Club, I'm gonna keep on dancing.
At the Green Ballroom Club.
Oh, God. Now it's never going to leave.
Yeah.
So the super real life logical club owner doesn't recognize Robin from his picture.
Yeah. He's like, it's because it was packed.
He's like, that's totally normal, though. We were packed. He wasn't doing anything weird, like drinking milk at the bar. So I don't know him.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, dang it. We thought as soon as you saw it. The crowd was mostly gay men. So the owner is chipper, ready to help. They could find out if Robin used his ID at the door because all of the IDs are scanned and stored digitally. So let's go take a look at my list pewter. Looking at the list at the Excel spreadsheet, Benson spots him. He was there at 11:14 that night. What an amazing piece of technology that I have never seen before or since.
Never heard of. It wouldn't happen.
No.
You couldn't. That can't be legal.
No.
Maybe it was for like 2 seconds in the early aughts when they were still figuring out how to police the internet.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Maybe, because was that... No, this was post-Giuliani.
Ooh.
Giuliani still doesn't know about the internet. What am I talking about?
He might have still been not. Oh, it was probably post-Giuliani. I don't know.
So Benson spots him. He was there at 11:14 that night. They planned to look at all the people that checked in around the same time to see if he was there with anyone. No one asks, but the owner tells them more about their sweet, sweet tech that he's pumped about.
He's psyched.
He's like, this system's 11 grand, but totes worth it after getting busted selling alcohol to a 15-year-old. That's why we have it. That's why we have this kind of technology to protect me. And that's why it's here available for you. Toots has the owner open the ID image for someone a few lines down from Robin in the system. Ken Randall. Hard fucking swell. Ken Randall is the name Tutes Jr goes by.
Hard Swell is a great name for a fucking gay bar. It really is.
Like a coastal gay bar.
Yeah.
Toots goes to Ken's apartment. Remember, Ken is Toots' son, and Toots wants to talk to him, but he's like, ooh, do you have somebody here? And he's like, yeah, I've got company, so... And fucking Toots goes, is it a dude? Is it a guy? So Toots is like, you're gay. And Ken goes, yeah.
I love how he was like, yeah, I am. And what?
Yeah, I'm fucking gay. Also, again, I'm entertaining a guest. I'm not going to talk to my estranged father who I don't give a shit about standing at my door. And then he's like, do you have a fucking problem with it? And Toots says nothing, which says everything. And Ken goes, thought so. That's why I never told you. Bye. The whole time he shuts the door in his face.
Yeah.
And Tutes goes back to the car where Benny's waiting and just tells her that Ken didn't recognize Robin from the picture. That's not what happened.
I thought that was going to come back, you know?
They need to go meet. I did not. I was just like, you're a
Fibber.
not accepting.
You're a fibber.
So now they need to go meet CSU at Robin's apartment.
Thanks for setting that up. In Robin's apartment, CSU, Ryan, I'm a mechanic and I also do everything O'Halloran, pulled up some pictures. I didn't even say it in an Irish accent. You're better than me at everything.
I'll do it. Ryan, Lucky Charms taste like shite. O'Halloran.
Yeah. Hold on. Brian, I'm a mechanic and I can do everything else O'Halloran. That's fucking lame.
I like it.
Okay, thanks. My throat hurts now. I feel like Batman. So O'Halloran pulled up some pictures and some emails they found on Robin's computer. Dude liked to party at gay hotspots starting when he was 17.
Same.
From the pictures, it is apparent that Robin aged quickly. They're like, what the fuck? Coroner Warner comes in and she thinks she knows why Robin aged super fast. To the medicine cabinet. So Robin has a box full of medication. Coroner Warner says he had AIDS. Robin tested HIV positive 6 months before he died. And it's very unusual for someone to get, quote, full-blown AIDS so quickly. Do we say that anymore?
No.
I think South Park ruined that.
I
Because they
think
made a song.
I think it's just called clinical AIDS.
Okay. Coroner Warner also had gotten a call from an insurance agency asking for the death certificate of Robin. His dad took out a life insurance policy on him. Tutes is like, how much? Cut to the precinct interrogation room with Benny and Tutes. Robin's dad, Liam, turns his head around and he says $500K. So Liam's financials show that he's broke, so it looks suspicious as fuck. He's obviously offended and says that they spent all of their money on Robin. Benny can't figure out why they would spend money on a kid they weren't even speaking to. And Dad's like, ugh, that happened later. So when Robin's mom got sick, he came home and his dad hadn't seen him in years. Robin had gotten kicked out at 16 when he came out to his parents. Dad couldn't deal with it and kicked him out. Okay, I don't even want to get started on the fucking thing that
I don't know.
We can't. I don't want to. How can you even do that? I don't know. I understand how
People do it for a lot of reasons and they're wrong.
Yeah. It's insane to me.
Well, good. I'm glad it's insane to you.
When he came home when his mom was sick, he looked so bad and told his dad that he had a drug problem and really wanted to stop but couldn't. Liam says that they spent their entire life savings trying to help Robin get clean, but he would only stay that way for a few months. Tutes is like, so while Robin was trying to get clean, you took out an insurance policy to get your money back? Excuse me. Dad knew Robin was going to die from drugs or AIDS or the boyfriend he had that would beat him up. And they're like, who the fuck is this? This guy's name is Lyden Grant.
Yeah, why didn't you bring up the abusive boyfriend?
Yeah. Yeah. Cut to the loft of Lyden Grant. The super lets Benny and Tutes in. He's so adorable. He's like, you guys, I don't know if I can be doing this. Okay. Come on in. Yeah. He's so cute. And he has like a jumpsuit on and stuff.
Yeah.
So they turn the lights on and he's like, what is all this stuff? By the way, this is when I noticed Benson's hair had changed 14 times in the last 10 minutes. Like her hair was blown back.
Yes.
Like when you were talking about what's her name?
Miley Cyrus.
Yes. So there was white powder literally covering everything. The carpet.
It looked like a snowy December morning in New England. It was beautiful, but also not.
Yeah. They find Lyden lying dead on the floor, kind of by his bed with the word killer written in red paint across the pillows of the bed. When I saw the word killer, how each pillow was KIL and it was LER, and it had 3 things, I was like, could I put that on my knuckles? And I was like, none of that works.
Also, don't.
I know. I wouldn't.
Okay, now Coroner Warner and CSU show up on the scene. Coroner Warner's given Benny and Tutes the deets. Lyden was killed by a gunshot to the head. The entry point and wound are similar to Robin's, and the theatric staging is also in line with Robin's. Lyden is still warm, and his body just went into rigor, so he's been dead less than 8 hours. CSU Millie Vasily is like, it ain't a snow globe that got busted in here. Okay. Do we have to be so like she says it next to a dead body that
very Carol
was shot in the head. It's very Carol.
It's giving Carol.
It ain't a snow globe. No shit. Let's relax a second. First of all, you just got here. We barely know you. We've never even seen you change a carburetor. So why don't you take a breath and not be
like,
so...
gets all teary-eyed and goes in her notes and crosses off the snow globe joke for her stand-up.
She had like 6 more bits in there that she's like, I'll just.
Snow globe related.
She goes to have a half beer with her girlfriends after work, and she's like, listen, I don't. They're like, you are so funny. You are so
the snow
funny.
globe thing didn't land, and her friends are like, what?
The snow globe
I was
thing
in
didn't?
stitches, Millie.
That was hilarious. Anyway, Tutes somehow immediately knows it's meth. And Millie Viz goes, sex drug of choice. Back at the precinct, Cragen's at the dream board, now with new crime scene photos. And the way he said this, he goes, took a lot of crank to blanket Leiden's loft.
God. So also, I've heard them say 3. I didn't know crank was meth.
Crank is like, it's funny that that's how they reference it. I mean, meth is gross regardless, but it's like crank is biker meth, is how it was referenced in the past.
But they said they called it another thing too. It was like crank,
Ice.
meth, ice, and was there another C one?
Kablowy.
Kablooey.
God, what would it be? Crystal.
Yeah, which I thought all of these things were different drugs. But except for the crystal. I got that because of crystal meth. I thought crank was different. I thought all that. I had no idea.
Nope. It's all the same thing, but with like, you know, if you want to be a purist about it, you'd be like, well, actually, crank is derived from. So Benson and Tutes are
Is crack meth as well?
Crack? No.
Yeah.
Crack is cocaine with baking soda so that you can smoke it and it makes it cheaper than well, you can smoke pretty much anything if you try hard enough. But yeah. But they like cook it down with baking soda. It's a different version of cocaine. So yeah, took a lot of crank to blanket Leiden's loft. And Benny and Tutes are right there with him. They're all trying to figure out if the murders are over meth or money. If Leiden used, then Robin probably did too, which explains why Robin looked so old, which is code for like shit, which is rude, but also true, like meth fucking ages you. Toots brings up the violence and paranoia meth can cause and thinks maybe Robin and Leiden could have gotten high and killed someone, and this is payback. Both of these dudes are well liked and had good relationships with people, so that throws them a little bit. It's also possible that Leiden was dealing based on the amount of meth used to cover the crime scene. So this could be a turf war. Cragen wants to know if Leiden was on narcotics radar. So, and nobody says anything, and they're like, oh, you mean right now? Yeah. Well, yeah, let's go. Hey!
This guy.
The narcotics... This guy at the Narcotics Task Force Squad Room. It's Lieutenant Pizzelli of Narcotics. We met him in the episode Haunted when Toots partnered up with that fresh kid and had a BFF good time. And then we never saw him again.
Oh, yeah.
This was the guy who I was like, it looks like Pacino. And we had a whole thing about it. Anyway, he doesn't have much for them. There's nothing in the system for Robin, and Leiden is just a blip on the screen. He's a low-level meth dealer. A gang called MKS, the Manhattan Killer Squad, which sounds like a bunch of juggalos to me. So this violent drug gang / gathering enthusiasts beat gay men and steal their drugs and then sell it back to gay dealers, which is funny because they're referencing it like it's a whole other sect of drug dealing and whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but they're like, they specifically steal drugs from gay men and then sell it to gay dealers.
I think
is that weird to you?
It's very weird. You're like, what are you doing?
They're like, ring, ring, drug dealer. Hello, men or women? All right.
Right.
You know, I don't know. But these guys in this gang, they're mostly young white psychos from the burbs, is how they're described. And the detective says he wouldn't put it past them to kill a dealer. The task force had an informant in MKS, but he got killed. If anything around their VIX did involve MKS, there would be, quote, chatter about it on the circuit. Gay club kids will know what's going on. Which I was hoping to see a lot more like club kid stuff, but
yeah, I know. It's like, why is everybody's shirts tucked in? Like, come on.
Yeah, what is this?
So Betty meets up with Ken, Toots' son, outside somewhere. She tells him she's not there for his dad and starts telling him about the case. He gets mad and he's like, oh, so I'm your token gay guy? And he's like, what do you want?
She's like, we're in New York. I know a lot of gay guys.
Yeah, chill, daddy.
But also,
daddy,
he's,
chill.
but he's a young, I mean, I get it where he's like, you guys don't fucking engage with me. You just found out that I'm gay. And now you're like, hey, I got this gay question.
Do you know Dale in Memphis? It's like, yeah, I know Dale. He's a nice guy. She asked him about MKS, and he says that they pose as gay guys to get other gay men to let their guard down, and then they lure them away and beat them up and take their drugs. And then she's like, have you ever been hurt? But Ken ain't into meth. Ken thinks Tutes probably thinks he does meth and is another reason for Tutes to hate Ken. Benson tells him that Tutes does not hate him. And Ken stops her and says, he doesn't even know me. God.
The way that she said it, I really fucking hated because he's like, Finn thinks blah, blah, blah. Remember, Toots' actual first name in the show is Finn.
Yeah.
It's like, Finn thinks blah, blah, blah. And she goes, emphasizing the word, she goes, your dad doesn't hate you. That was way too forward. It was crossing a boundary that he made pretty fucking clear when he called his father by his first name.
Right.
I didn't like that. Your dad doesn't hate you. Okay.
I didn't even notice that. I didn't catch that, but you're right.
I didn't like it.
Benny tells Ken to give Toots some time. That's the thing where I was like, rude. Don't fucking tell him how to do anything. His
Right.
dad's not been around. Give him time.
Correct.
I've given him my entire life. Bitch. He changes the subject back to MKS and tells her that there's a party at Club Euphoria tonight. There will probably be a lot of people tweaking and a lot of dealers, and MKS is for sure probably going to show up. For sure, probably.
Sure, probably. Most definitely, maybe.
So now we have a fun little stakeout at Euphoria. Craig and Toots and frickin' Benny.
Toots is wearing a Walter White hat with feathers in it because he wants to blend in.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to take out my gay hat tonight. There it is.
Is this hat gay enough? Put some of these feathers in it. Perfect.
They need to be bigger.
Bigger.
So Toots is talking to Cragen into his cuff like a fucking idiot.
Like a cop.
Cragen's in a car talking to himself, not suspicious at all. So there are protesters outside the club chanting meth equals death and holding signs. Toots says that the protesters don't look like MKS, but there wouldn't be anything going on at the moment because of the protests. There's too much tension.
And also there's way too much happening outside for them to make their presence.
Yeah. Munch is watching on the cameras. So the club opened the back doors in the alley and are having people come in that way instead of going through the protest. At the front, there's a guy in a white shirt handing out condoms and chanting meth equals death. And he's handing them from a big jar. And he tries to give one to someone waiting in line. And he's like, here, have a free condom. The guy's like, no way. Get away from me, weirdo. And I'm like, what? I'd be like, thanks. You know?
Yeah, I know.
Free freaking condom.
I know. We'll
Yeah.
touch on this, but yeah, that is perpetuating a really bad narrative, but okay.
Yeah. Benson, the camera shows, like, starts at her feet and goes up, and she's wearing this short, sexy ass dress. She's undercover as a sex worker. So she comes up to Cragen's car and she's like, hey, sweetheart, you looking lonely tonight? And the camera pans to him and it's almost like he almost fell for her, even though he knows who she is. You know what I mean? He's like, you almost got me. I almost pulled out my wallet, dude. She tells him to watch two guys that are walking away. She thinks that one of the guys could be MKS and is like sneaking the other guy in the gray sweater to the alley to beat him up.
Right. Luring him.
Cragen thinks that they're sneaking off for like a quickie or something. But he has Toots follow them, and Toots is like, cool!
Into his sleeve.
Into his cuff. Got it, Captain. Hey, I was thinking about taking a test to become sergeant.
See you back at the precinct.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about it later. This is where you're right. I should stay focused. I feel like I'm yelling. My ear's been plugged.
Am I yelling?
It's like math equals death. It's like, okay. Anyways, Toots follows them. So Toots gets to the alley and sees a group of dudes beating up that guy in the gray sweater. Toots gives the call. Cragen has all units respond to the alley. Everybody comes in on both ends of the alley. That was my nickname in high school. That was my nickname in high school. All units come in both ends. All the perps are arrested. Benson notices that the guy she cuffed has the word killer tattooed in Sharpie on his arm.
Unbelievable.
It was huge.
And
huge.
black.
It was so stupid. In the precinct, Toots is walking the dude into the interrogation room. Toots asks the dude where he got his tattoo. He's like, it's for my posse. They call me King Henry. Nobody's ever called you that ever. Dude, nobody calls you fucking King Henry, you fucking frosted tip motherfucker.
No shit.
Stop.
I looked him up and I was like, oh, this guy must have come back from Ireland with Ryan O'Hidley Halloran because his real name is James O'Toole. And he is a tool in this episode. But no,
Right.
he only had a couple of credits. Why?
Fucking Ken was right about these guys being like fucking dorks from the burbs.
Yes.
Benny comes into the interview room with his file. His actual name is Henry Finello. He's been arrested before for Grand Theft Auto, some possession, and assault. He also just turned 18 a few weeks ago. And Toots is like, no more calling daddy, no more Julie time. You're an adult. Henry's like, I'll make bail before that F word gets out of this hospital. They threw this word up.
It's a lot. We all know what F word it is based on the episode.
Yeah. Benny comes back at Henry for using the F word and calls him one and says he's too scared to be out. He's like, your gaydar must be off. I ain't queer. And
Which,
at the time, queer was a fucking mean thing to say.
yes. And we saw Pete Holmes recently. John and I saw Pete Holmes recently, and he's from Boston. And he did this whole bit about the word queer and how Boston is the least PC place, but somehow their favorite insult became the PC term. So they went so far around the 360 that they're like, queer. And it's like, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it's kind of, language is bananas, man.
It really is.
People are like, well, we didn't say that back in my, yeah, because that was fucking, it's constantly changing. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yes.
Anyways, Toots is like, sure, Jan, you're on the circuit. Everybody knows about you. Benson says he's in the circuit until he goes to jail for murder. She shows him the coroner photos of Robin and Leiden, but he's never seen them before, of course. And then Toots is like, well, actually, you have seen them before, and shows him the crime scene photos of the murders, pointing out his killer signature to him. Killer, as in the tattoo. He says that all he does is rip off gay dudes. That's it. And then Benson's like, why do you target gay men? And he says that they're easy marks. They won't call the cops because they don't want anyone to know about their sex lives and meth addictions. And he swears he didn't kill anyone. Cragen comes in and wants to speak to Benny and Toots.
I like how he thinks that gay dudes are the ones who aren't going to call the cops, when a meth user isn't going to call the cops and go, somebody stole my meth. Like just anybody. But
well, yeah, that's why, I mean, he said that. That's why he didn't want to call the cops. They don't want to call the cops because they're not going to be like, I'm gay and somebody took my meth.
right. But it's like, why are you targeting? There's lots of people who aren't gay that are using meth. I mean,
no, yeah, totally. You're right. Yeah.
So like, it's an interesting.
Nobody's going to, like, the straightest guy in the whole world who's doing meth isn't going to call the fucking cops and be like, this guy took my meth. Yeah.
What do you mean you're not going to do anything about it? So they leave the room. On the other side of the glass in Cragen's donut hole, everyone is sprinkled in cinnamon and sugar after being lightly fried and flipped by the Boy Scouts of America to be sold by the dozen to the awaiting line of patrons during the Oktoberfest celebration. I don't care if you think it's an other side of the glass or not. I was excited. I keep thinking about the donut holes because I'm going to Oktoberfest and I can't wait to go to that Boy Scout booth.
You made your own rules for the behind the glass. Cragen doesn't have to be there for you. It's only for me. You can do whatever you want.
Cragen was there.
No, he was not.
Yes, he was. He's the one who went in and said, hey, you got to come out here.
Oh, that's right. Because it was your turn. So I didn't have to do one. That's right. Okay.
But you are correct. I do have my own rules. I thought you were going to be like, no, it can't be because it's not the right other side of the glass. It's his office. But I'm like, nope, I want him to be in Cragen's donut hole, which is not the name of a gay bar. It's the name of... Corner Warner's waiting in the observation area. She thinks she knows what killer means. She's got like a full blowout. Her and Benny went and got two for blowouts. Twofers. Nope, she just went through that same machine. She's like, I can just throw my hair up in a ponytail. I'm the medical examiner. And they're like, no, go through this wind tunnel. Okay, so Leiden and Robin both had the same strain of HIV, which they're calling the, quote, killer strain. So the narrative of this killer strain is that it's resistant to drugs and progresses to cause death within a year. If they had unprotected sex with others, they could have spread the killer strain, making them both killers, which is the
title of
the episode. In that precinct, the squad's reviewing updates at the dream board. The perp could be someone that Leiden or Robin infected, a revenge killing, or it's a vigilante that's trying to wipe out people living with HIV. Kwong says with 1,000 floating question marks, specifically crystal meth users who are gay. And Toots is like, the whole country's swimming in crank. Why kill just gay men? Good question. Mm-hmm. Kwong tells us that meth is causing an increase in new HIV/AIDS infections among gay men in the club scene, calling it PNP, party and play. Getting high and partying can lead to more unprotected sex. Toots still wonders why the perp would cause such a showing of the victims, though, like these whole fucking scenes that they created. And Huang thinks it's to alert people to the danger of what's been going on. Okay, well, how did the perp know about Leiden and Robin? A mutual friend, a healthcare worker who knew about their statuses? A list of sexual partners would have had to be submitted to the health department after they tested positive. Onward, hoes, to the New York City Health Department Computer Center. A staff member refuses to discuss or disclose information on statuses with Benson and Tutes. So Tutes threatens to subpoena the records and charge him with obstruction, which I don't think you can get him for obstruction when he's fulfilling his HIPAA obligation.
Yeah. And like, if you need a subpoena to get records, you can't charge somebody with obstruction because you need a subpoena.
That's not how that works, but I get it. You're being scary, Toots. I get you. Like, we're going to get you for obstruction. If you dissected that sentence for a half second, the guy would be like, what? No.
Yeah.
And Benny's like, oh, I hope this flies because that was embarrassing. Which it did. Benson tells him that someone in the office could be killing people because of their statuses. And this guy tells them that the higher-ups told health department employees to not talk about it. Wait a second. Don't talk about what?
Yeah.
And he looks around like a wascally wabbit and pulls them into his office because
he really does.
He does, yeah. He has a secret.
Yeah.
He tells them that their computer system had been hacked, which is the same thing that happened in Florida. Benson wonders why the public wasn't informed. He tells them that the files were encrypted, so the hacker couldn't read them, but the files did get damaged when he copied them. So now they have to be repaired, which is computer stuff, and I don't understand it. They have an idea of who did it. One night, a supervisor saw a janitor named Gabriel Thomason sitting at one of the computer terminals, and he got fired. Gabriel spent a lot of time with a group called the Rainbow Army, which is an AIDS awareness group.
All right, so Betty and Toots are now at the Rainbow Army headquarters, and they find Gabe. He was the guy that was handing out condoms at the club the night before, remember? The guy was like, ew, get away. I don't want your free condoms, whatever. He has beautiful eyes.
Gorgeous wolf eyes.
Oh my God. It's like, what? Hello, like, Ray Liotta. Like, what the fuck?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, he's got Ray Liotta eyes. Yes.
Is that a song?
No, Betty Davis. Betty Davis, yeah.
Yeah. She's got Ray Liotta eyes. She's got Steve Buscemi eyes. So he's like, yeah, that was me. And they're like, what did you do after the protests? And he says that after he went around to some nearby clubs to check on their condoms. And Benson's like, oh, so now you're on condom patrol since you got fired as a janitor? Gabriel's like, that is a misunderstanding. And the condom patrol or whatever he was going there to see if they needed refills of free condoms. Bitch. Anyways, but he says that the getting fired from the janitor thing, it was a misunderstanding. He was checking his email and they thought he was the hacker, and he thinks he got blamed because he's gay. Outside, Benny and Toots do a little walk and talk. They don't fucking believe Gabriel at all, of course.
At all.
Toots is sure that Gabe has that's weird saying my own name.
I know. I couldn't call him Gabe.
Yeah. Toots is very sure that Gabriel has a list of names from the health department. Mm-hmm. But they can't put anyone undercover at the Rainbow Army since Gabriel would probably be able to tell because he's on high alert right now. They would just send somebody like with some stereotypical fucking like gay uniform. You know what I mean?
Whatever the 2005 version of that.
Yeah.
They literally just send Jack from Will and Grace is what they would do.
Yeah. Toots tells Benny that he's going to drop her off and make a stop. When she asks if it's to talk to the informant, he says, maybe. So Toots actually meets up with Ken and they do a little walk and talk. Ken is like, beat it, Dad. And Toots is like, listen, I don't want to mess anything else up with you. I just want to talk to you about this case. And then he's like, what, the one about MKS? Benny already talked to me about that. And he was like, oh.
This might be so misplaced, but this is one of my favorite lines ever. And it's the way he says it and everything. Toots just goes, okay, I want to show you a picture of a dead guy. Can I do that?
I didn't even catch him asking permission. I was like, why is he just showing his kid dead people?
Oh, he asked. And
his kid is like, oh, intriguing. Like he was like real chill about it, you know?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, sure, I guess, yeah. You want to see a dead body? like it seemed like he could have said it and it was totally unrelated to the conversation, you know?
I'm going to say that to one of your kids someday, just randomly. going to show you a picture of a dead guy. Can I do that?
Oh my God.
So Tutes shows Ken a picture of Leiden dead in his apartment. Ken asks why the word killer was written on the pillows. Tutes tells him about the new strain of AIDS. Ken's like, you can't scare me out of being gay, Dad. And Tutes is like, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just telling you, Ken. Ken wants to know why Tutes is asking him about the case in the first place. Tutes ignores that and then shows him another picture of a dead guy. He shows him a picture of Robin, the murder scene with the shoes in the window. He tells Ken about the green ballroom and how Robin was killed after he left the club and that Ken was there the same night. And then Ken's like, oh my God, I just realized how you found out about me being gay. Ken tells him that everybody's talking about what happened to these two dudes. It's all over the circuit. Then Tutes asks him about the Rainbow Army. Ken tells him that the organization is supposed to be helping gay men and like they do a lot of great work. But Tutes tells him that they could be involved in the murders. Ken says, okay, so you're telling me about this because I'm gay and you want me to be careful. Tutes is like, yes, but I also need a favor.
I also need something from you.
You still major in computer science? You work for the NYPD. You have Tarubin. You have the fucking FBI. And you're asking your fucking son who majors in computer that you don't even know if he majors in anymore? Get the fuck out of here. But I love how they bonded. Go ahead.
And also, I get why he wanted to use his son. One, it's a fun little SVU thing to do, but also because, you know, he's young, he's known, you know, so people that are like in the Rainbow Army would
They're
be
gonna
like,
recognize him. Yeah.
They'd be like, oh,
I forgot
it's
about that.
Ken from, you know, we've seen him wherever. Because if he's like everybody in the circuit's talking about it, well, that means he's privy to it. That means that he's got a little credit going in, and it wouldn't be just like some random 45-year-old man showing up and being like, I'm gay and I'm here to help.
They call me John DeMunch.
At the Rainbow Army storefront, oh, here we go. Ken is volunteering. He's wearing glasses, so he's deep cover. Just kidding. They are a thing. But at first I'm like, okay, glasses.
Okay, Superman.
Right. So he's outside with this other dude and they're loading boxes into a van because we had to be reminded that this is SVU. This dude asks him if his parents will be okay if he gets arrested during a protest. And Ken says that they'd be proud. The other guy, Jason, starts talking about what happened with other people whose parents weren't as supportive as Ken's. And Ken is just speaking in fantasy because remember, Tutes did not readily accept him when he was like, I'm gay. Are you all right with that? And he's like, well,
Ken's undercover.
Yes.
But not playing a character that's too hard to play.
Right. So Ken's wearing these glasses, but he's wearing them because there's a live feed camera in them. Cut to Taru, Tech, Ben, Benson, and Tutes. They're watching from a van. Now, this is not Tarubin. So Taru Tech, not Ruben, but Ben. So he's not Tarubin. He's Taruben.
Oh my
Okay?
God.
Yes.
Taruban.
Similar but different.
Wild.
So they're watching from a van. Gabriel comes over and talks to Ken and Jason and has Ken come inside with him. Gabriel's like, hey, I hear you major in computer science. I'm excited about that. So you're good with computers? Cool. Cut to Benny and Tutes watching. Benny's like, your fish just bit the hook. And Tutes is like, no, he's still sniffing the bait. And then I scream, I'm going in, and dive into the center, shoving my arm down Gabriel's throat. You got to noodle these guys or you'll never catch them.
Woo! You're fucking noodling.
You're noodling, bro.
Maybe that's the thing that we have to do together someday. Because we both have.
Hold me by the ankles, bitch. I got to get in there.
I got about 8 seconds before I'm drowning, okay?
So Gabe takes Ken into a room and Gabriel tells him that he's got a software problem. It's a file he can't open. Gabriel doesn't know much about operating systems, so he gives Ken the disk the file is on. Ken's like, oh, I'm probably going to be able to open this better on my computer at home. PC versus Mac versus, right? And Gabriel's like, for sure, yeah, okay.
That's what? No.
What?
You have the files of the fucking the health department. You just give them to a guy you never met before. I just feel like that wouldn't happen so quickly.
I know. Yeah. But I mean, he was just sort of like, hey, it's just a list of names. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a little, I mean, it's a pretty big deal that he stole them. But he's like, sure, I get it. Take it home.
Especially for how like meticulous he was with the crime scenes and shit. You're just going to be like, yeah, sure, guy.
I know.
Your glasses are making noise. Or whatever.
It's zooming in. There's a huge zoom in the middle of the glasses. So
it's actually just a guy strapped to his back with a fucking camera.
with like a shoulder cam.
Yeah.
Ken's like, all right, so you're going to give me this file. I'm looking for a list of names, and I'm going to take it home with me. Great. That was so fucking easy. We just met.
Yeah.
So we go to the Tech Assistance Response Unit, the Taru Lab, with Taru Ben. They're trying to figure this out. It looks like Gabriel was just mashing keys and couldn't open the list, but also accidentally saved it in a different way. I don't know. These guys are talking about it.
Yeah.
Tutes and I are both shoved out of the way. Move.
Yeah.
Because these guys know what they're doing.
Ken's talking to a professional fucking technical assistance response unit guy. And he's like, you know what? Just do this with the file, the UBBC .. thing. And the guy's like, I think I'll try that.
That sounds really good. Hey, do you know my signature? You can get some credits for this, right?
Exactly. I'm like, okay.
So Ken's like, I've got it. And Ruben's like, cool, I do this for a living, but you just made me feel small. Okay, yep, opened it. It worked. The names start to appear. At the precinct, the team's back together to discuss Gabriel's motive. Does he want to kill these guys? Does he want to warn them? But then, wait a second. Tutes finds somebody with the same last name as Gabriel on Robin's list, Alexander Thomason. He's 23 and he died 3 months ago. He and Gabriel shared an address, so it must have been his younger brother, which is probably the motive for the murders. Mm-hmm. Benny's like, 2 gay brothers, and we just keep going because, all right, there's enough problematic shit here. No, but she's like, yeah, that can be a thing. Like she had to explain to the fucking Midwest that 2 brothers can be gay.
My fucking neighbor has single-handedly birthed half of the queer community in this whole town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
So Gabriel's probably using the list to move backwards on the chain to get to who infected Leiden. They need to arrest him before he finds his next victim.
So now it's nighttime. Tutes and Benny roll up to a club. They find the Rainbow Army protesting outside. They find Gabriel. And they come up to him and he's like, you guys, I have a permit for this protest. Let's talk tomorrow at the office. They tell him he's under arrest. And he's like, oh, like what? For loitering while being gay? And Benny's like, no, for homicide. Ooh. So now we're at the precinct. Benny and Tutes are questioning Gabriel. Gabriel immediately admits to killing Robin and Leiden and tries to justify it by saying it's nothing compared to what would have happened if they infected others with this super strain of AIDS. He says he didn't have any other choice. He doesn't feel bad at all. He says that these guys are doing meth and having sex, unprotected sex, and infecting their partners, and then they're infecting their partners, etc., etc. Gabriel says that his brother Alex always wore a condom and got tested regularly until he met Robin, and Robin got him hooked on meth. So when Gabriel saw Robin at the Green Ballroom that night, he was so high that he didn't even remember Gabriel. So Gabe hit on him, and they went back to the store together to bone, and fucking Gabriel killed him. On the other side of the glass, Wong and Novak are watching. Wong says Gabriel has a messiah complex, like he believes he can see things others can't, like a prophet. But he's not insane. He knows it's wrong to kill, but he just justifies it and believes that it's like what he's doing is right. And then Novak's like, why was he so careful to not get caught if he believed he was doing the right thing? And Wong says it's because Gabriel still has work to do, quote, killing for the cause. Novak thinks that the defense will argue temporary insanity brought on by grief from the death of his brother. Gabriel's lawyer, Carolyn Maddox, comes out of the shadows. I love her so much. Then Novak says, oh, sorry, hon, you're too late. Gabriel confessed. Maddox says it doesn't matter. Gabriel won't spend a day in prison. And then Novak's like, how did you fucking plan to pull this off? She's like, I'm not telling.
I'll never tell.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I'll tell you at the arraignment.
See you in a couple hours. You're really hard to work with. You're always a challenge. It's a fun career move. At the arraignment, Gabriel pleads not guilty. Novak's like, bro, he already confessed. And then Maddox says that the reasoning was self-defense against This is so fucking crazy to me.
I know.
Self-defense against a perceived imminent harm and greater danger. Ugh, okay. Novak's like, how the fuck was Robin a threat if he was tied up and shot point blank? Maddox says Leiden and Robin were a threat because of the lethal strain of virus they carried. She says that Gabriel was defending others against the sexual behaviors of Leiden and Robin having drug-fueled, unprotected sex. Like some kind of fucking vigilante, like a gay Batman. Like it's fucking insane.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
The judge.
It's Judge Petrovsky. So she would never,
She would never, but she was like, I'm more curious about just hearing this than it being relevant. So this judge, she allows the defense, which to me is crazy. And she says, it's an interesting argument. I'm not sure it'll work, but the jury should hear it. And I'm like, oh, they should? 12 dummies who all probably have preconceived ideas about gay folks? Get fucking real, bitch. They murdered 2 people. What are you talking about?
Right.
Get the fuck out of here with that.
I don't even want to touch on it because I need to save my energy for
Oh God, I can't.
the chaser. Okay, at the trial, Dr. Sloan, who we've met before, is on the stand answering questions around the strain. She confirms that the new strain of HIV is the deadliest the CDC has seen. When Novak asks what should be done, she mentions awareness and outreach, but also says that more, quote, radical solutions are being discussed. Like that people who knowingly have unprotected sex while infected should be charged or be held financially responsible for medical costs. Novak's like, well, what about murder? Do I have to answer that? No, they shouldn't be murdered. Now it's Bad B Carolyn Maddox's turn to ask the damn questions around here. She asks about the strain, but Dr. Sloan says that the strain could be the next worldwide pandemic. One solution is to quarantine those with HIV in facilities like people used to do with tuberculosis patients that wouldn't take their medicine. However, the law prevents those with HIV from being quarantined. There is no way to stop people with the virus from having unprotected sex. Gabriel takes the stand and says that the meth and HIV issue makes him feel afraid and hopeless. He tried to make a difference through the Rainbow Army and raising awareness. Carolyn asks him if his efforts have been successful, and he starts crying. His brother Alex died 5 months after testing positive, and there's nothing Gabriel could do. After the funeral, Gabriel went through Alex's diary and got the names of all of his sexual partners so he could tell them to get tested. I like that Alex had a list like Gabe.
Like me.
Yeah, like you.
Yeah.
So he's looking through Alex's diary. He's like, I wanted to tell these people about Alex so that they could get tested. When he talked to Robin, he found out that Robin knew he had the killer strain before having sex with Alex, but didn't tell Alex.
That would be weird for somebody to say to the brother of a dead.
Yeah,
I boned him and I didn't even care. Like,
I knew I had it. Yeah. No, I don't see that. But when Gabriel saw Alex at the club picking up guys, he got pissed. He would try to warn the guys, but they were high on meth, so they wouldn't listen. He felt like he needed to do something to protect them. Quote, Robin was going to murder them just like he murdered my brother. And he thinks he did the right thing.
Yeah.
He feels like stopping 2 lives saved thousands more. Maddox, Mad Dog if you're nasty, is finished as the camera keeps cutting to Robin's dad. Novak gets up and wipes the polish off the turd that Gabriel took. Stopping 2 lives? You murdered 2 people, guy. Like the wording he's trying to use is a little... Okay.
Yeah. He's like, 2 lives? Stopping 2 lives. Yeah,
you murdered 2 people. She says Alex chose to have sex without a condom. He was just as irresponsible as Robin. They were both high. They both chose to have sex. I don't like that. It feels victim blamey. Novak asks Gabriel if he would have killed Alex if he had knowingly gone on to have unprotected sex with a positive diagnosis. Fucking swell. Silence. Answer the question. Would you have killed your own brother? He doesn't answer.
Can't.
Novak hair flip. Moving on.
Yep.
Later, in her closing argument, Carolyn appeals to the jury with numbers. 40 million people have AIDS compared to the 41 that were diagnosed at the beginning of the epidemic in the 80s. Hoping that someone can do something and then nothing happening is why Gabriel did something. She brings up how many people were infected by Robin and Leiden and how many more could have been. She calls them terrorists and presents a pretty intense storyline to the jury.
Yeah.
You leave the building, you guys, and you see bin Laden standing out there with a bomb. I mean, she is putting her finger on the trigger of every sensitive spot that Americans had at this time.
This is like 4 years after 9/11.
Right. Bin Laden is still the U.S.'s #1 target. Like, they didn't kill him until 2011.
Come on, bitch. Like, that's...
Yes. So you leave the building, you see bin Laden, he's standing there, he's got a bomb, and you know what this guy's capable of. You've got a gun. What do you do? Desperate times, desperate measures, y'all. Now it's Novak's turn. She's got one too. You guys, so many people die from lung cancer.
Like, are you trying to get the jury to hate you? Side with this lady?
So many people. You know what? It ain't Bin Laden, but are you going to murder tobacco CEOs? Huh? Bin Laden has a bomb and you have a gun and it's a moment's decision. But are you going to go to a high-rise building where fucking the Marlboro man is having a meeting with a guy in a suit? I don't think so, Tim.
His horse is there. I don't think so, Tim.
People know the risks.
Like, smoke them if you got them, you guys.
People know the risks and choose to smoke, just like people who do drugs and have unprotected sex. Gabriel Thomason is the lawbreaker here. Find him guilty. They're just like really dramatic closing arguments on both sides. Almost like they were talking to the audience.
Yeah, that's what the jury is. Bunch of fucking dum-dums like me.
And me.
In the precinct, Tutes thinks Gabriel's going to get off, but Benson thinks he'll go to jail. It's 2 fucking murders. She says 25 to life probably, right? Tutes tells Benny that Gabriel probably got the jury to side with him when he cried. Those big blue eyes. Those ocean eyes. Those Ray Liotta eyes.
Ray Liotta eyes.
Novak comes in and says, no, they didn't. Gabriel was found guilty, murder in the second degree on both counts. He could get 50 to life. Tutes thinks that the judge could drop it down, but Novak doesn't think she will after hearing Robin's dad. He wants revenge. So now we're at the sentencing hearing. Robin's dad makes a statement. This is fucked up. Hold on.
Yep.
He tells the judge that he misses Robin every day. There were years they didn't speak, and he was so angry at Robin for his, quote, life and for his behavior. Now he regrets that, and it's been painful. He tells the court that it was actually the last 6 months that he missed Robin the most because he wasn't his son anymore. The drugs changed him. They had taken him over. He didn't even recognize him. He says he doesn't know how many people Robin infected or would have gone on to infect. And then he turns to Gabriel, and he's like, he doesn't approve of what Gabriel did, but he understands why he did it. What? And then Dad's like, I thought I would want revenge against Gabriel, but I don't. And then asks the judge to not punish him too severely. The judge thanks him and he leaves. What?
The murders were fucking sadistic in nature.
Was this supposed to appeal to middle America here?
Dude.
Because that's fucked up.
It is fucked up.
Tutes goes out to meet Dad in the hall. He didn't want to hear their sentencing, so he came out there. Gabriel got the minimum sentence, 15 years. And to me, I'm like, that's what a fucking jump from 50 to life to 15 years.
Yeah.
What?
How was that even an option?
I know. Tutes tells him that Gabriel would have gotten more if he hadn't spoken up. And then Dad says that he did so many things wrong raising Robin, but Tutes is just like, you did the best you could, man.
Dude, when you said Tutes went out to meet Dad, I was like, Cragen's not there. You mean Robin's dad. Got it.
Yeah. Robin's dad tells Tutes about when Robin came out to him and how he told him that he wished he was dead.
That was his response to his son.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God. That's like, no, I can't. And my heart breaks for anybody who's had to not only have the to not be sure how your parents were going to respond to coming out, but then to have like the absolute worst response.
Yeah. Then Dad said he'd give anything to have another chance with his son. Mr. Weller leaves and Tutes makes a phone call, probably to Ken. Fucking Toyota.
Toyotas. So we covered a case around the topic of sex without status disclosure and infecting sexual partners a few seasons ago in the case of Nushan Williams. But I want to use this chaser as an opportunity to remind our listeners that SVU is a show we have loved for 25 years. With that, some of these early episodes featuring storylines that are, quote, ripped from the headlines don't age well at all.
Right.
On February 11th, 2005, the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene held a press conference and made an announcement that was the main inspiration for this episode. Health officials announced that a man in his 40s who had been diagnosed with HIV in December of 2004 had been undergoing testing for a treatment plan. The testing showed that the strain he was infected with was resistant to nearly all anti-HIV treatments. It also showed that he had contracted the virus in the very recent past. They narrowed it down to be between 2 and 20 months, and it had already advanced into AIDS.
I feel like I remember this, because remember for a while everybody was really scared of super AIDS?
That's...
Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay, here. Yeah, you're doing it.
The health commissioner at the time, Thomas Frieden, made this statement, quote, "This case is a wake-up call. First, it's a wake-up call to men who have sex with men, particularly those who may use crystal methamphetamine. Now, we've identified this strain of HIV that is difficult or impossible to treat and which appears to progress rapidly to AIDS." Meth was mentioned and focused on because, one, as we've talked about before, it was surging in use in the U.S. at the time. And two, research doctors believe that the individual contracted the virus at a time that he was using meth and engaging in unprotected sex. Like they kind of ruled it down to a very specific point. But
Yeah.
so SVU took this and really pushed the gay panic button, or at least contributed to it if it was already happening with this announcement and everything, finishing off the episode with a dramatic closing argument that this vigilante was preventing a global pandemic was irresponsible at best.
Yeah.
Even though in the same article I referenced before, it went on to say that 2 doctors from Johns Hopkins University deep dove on rapid HIV progression and found that prior to the retroviral therapies used, the average time from HIV onset to AIDS was 8.3 years, while the probability of clinical AIDS developing within 6 months was 0.0007%. Okay. That said it in the same article. So it's like, yeah, we see this here, but these are the statistics. But it was enough to be like, hey, everybody freak out. To go further with this, although there are cases of rapidly progressing strains, it's been found that it was on a case-by-case basis and had not been found in a cluster of cases. As in, this isn't like, hey, we trace this back and all of these people, this strain is consistently developing within a few months, progressing into clinical AIDS and causing death with an inability to treat.
Wow, the media really, because I remember there being like a fucking panic. People were freaking out. Yeah.
Right. So this patient, used to create a fantastical storyline for the show, was likely genetically predisposed for this unfortunate outcome.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, treatment centers were not seeing multi-drug resistant strains coming into their clinics. So the presence of a, quote, superbug was being investigated at the time, but officials were clear in stating that more information was needed. So they do this announcement. Hey, we see this. We're bringing it to the public because it's necessary or whatever. This is the first time we give a shit about gay men. It's
Right.
2005. I don't know. They had said, more information's needed. We have to do more research, TBD, but just like be careful. Here are the reminders of, safe sex and that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Okay, Tasha, but SVU fills flogs with diamonds. How are they being irresponsible with a storyline is what you're asking me. Okay. Well, in 2005, the FBI reported that 14.2% of single bias hate crimes were found to be motivated by a sexual orientation bias. Okay. So single bias, right? So like this person was attacked solely because of their orientation.
Yeah.
So the FBI has been releasing these statistic reports since the early 90s. The bias crimes against the LGBTQIA community is usually anywhere from 11 to 23%. Obviously, it's like fucking 50-something% based on race.
Right.
The stats are anywhere from 11 to 23%. But how accurate are these? Probably about as accurate as the sex crimes reports is what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
To be accounted for, these stats have to be collected from local law enforcement, which 1 is voluntary, 2 may not be classified as hate crimes because procedures for identifying them aren't in place, and 3, those that experience sexual orientation and gender bias hate crimes have reported fear of further victimization by law enforcement or being publicly outed, so they don't report the crimes committed against them as such. They
Yeah.
might report the crime, but a very clearly delineated hate crime might be reported as like just a mugging or something,
Definitely. Yes.
So the irresponsibility to me is in feeding into a half narrative. So not only are they a higher likelihood of being attacked, this press conference held in February of 2005 to warn the public of a possible super strain was disputed and basically debunked by August of that year, of 2005. This episode came out in October, which still fed the public panic of an AIDS pandemic, feeding the stigma and fear of being open about one's diagnosis. It fed the narrative that HIV and AIDS is a death sentence that will continue to baffle scientists, when the reality is HIV treatment is expansive, including FDA-approved pre-exposure medication. With antiretroviral treatment, people living with HIV are likely unable to transmit the virus. It's also recommended that anyone who considers themselves at risk for HIV infection take PrEP.
Yeah.
Pre-exposure prophylaxis. I do think that SVU continues to get better, and we do acknowledge their old ideas, which are usually pretty obvious. OMG, the constant misgendering and shit in early episodes, the fucking just celebration of the F slur this episode. I wanted to quote this article I read criticizing the media, SVU in particular, and its portrayal of people living with HIV. Quote, in SVU, people living with HIV are never the heroes. The most they can hope for is pity, though just as often they are portrayed as scorn-worthy, justifiably maimed, evil, or simply dead. Beyond these gross characterizations, the episodes have a consistent tendency to depict the virus as a death sentence. End quote. HIV doesn't define the people who are living with it. Thank you, good night. That's my fucking soapbox.
That's what it felt like in the episode. It was like feeling like it was appealing to, at the time, people thought like, well, I can understand why he'd want to murder people. But it's still bad, and now fast forward, we're like, it's bad. It's
and
just
this
bad.
Guy, yes,
you know,
and
like,
this guy was representing an AIDS awareness group, and still was like murder. And then was it satisfying at the end that the dad was like, I get why you killed my son. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, that was.
You know, again, this is one of our favorite shows. A lot of shit's changed since 2005, and we're learning and changing and growing. But people are still watching this today. We are literally just watching this, you know?
Yeah.
And we do look back on it with like a different lens, clearly, because we're both like, that's fucked up that he didn't get much time. He murdered people. So I guess that says a good thing. But I don't know. I felt like it was important to touch on. Also, it is what the ripped from the headlines shit was for this episode.
And like, as a SVU culture, it's we've all grown and changed along with SVU.
Yeah, I hope
look
so.
at Mariska Hargitay today. What if in 20 years we look back and we're like, oh my God. In 20, look at Mariska Hargitay today. She's the queen and goddess of everything. And what if we look back in 15 years and we're like, oh my God, the shit Mariska said in 2026? Oof. There will be. You know what I mean? There will be.
There will be, yeah. I'm sure. I mean, we won't say it because we'll be like, what's wrong with saying that?
We've been dead for
we've been
20
long
years.
Dead. Oh my God.
We're dying tomorrow. Cool.
Anyway. Anyway, cool. Okay, well, that was that. I know it wasn't like a crazy true crime, whatever.
No, I think that was kind of like refreshing, actually.
Thank you.
I liked it. Whatever. Anyways, well. Okay, next week we have season 7, episode 6, Raw. There's a school shooting and the gun is traced to an ammo store, and it's actually the headquarters to a white supremacy group. And I think I remember this one. I think it's the one with that lady, and there's like 2 episodes. Remember that one lady that, I don't know, I think I know this one.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Oh, P.S. The episode, what was it, 911? I didn't know this because I haven't watched any of the new seasons, but in season 25, somebody commented on maybe our Instagram or whatever and said that Maria, the little girl, is grown up in season 25, and Benson presents her with her, I don't know, she becomes a cop and Benson gives her
Who's Maria?
Diploma or something. The little girl that was buried alive. The little girl that that Benson was on the phone with that whole episode.
So is she playing Maria as older?
The character Maria comes back, not the.
Oh, that's what I was wondering, if it's the character comes back.
I don't know if it's the same person. That'd be cool if they did that, but I could also see them being like,
yeah,
you know. Okay, rate and review us. Email us at svupod@gmail.com. Send us anything that's not weird at P.O. Box 176, Deforest, Wisconsin 53532.
Dude, send weird stuff.
If it's a severed head, I'm going to be very upset.
Not poop.
Not poop.
Not poop.
Don't do
like
that.
Like weird stuff, like cute weird stuff.
They know what we mean. All of our social media is at SVUpod. Go to svupod.com or tpublic.com for our merch. We have a Facebook group, SVUpod Elite Squad, with a group chat that we call Walk and Talk. Join all of that. Hashtag Little Bit Loud for Indie Pods. If you are one, use it. If you're looking for Indie Pods, search it. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/SVUpod. Join it. There's so much extra stuff.
Tons.
You'll love it. You'll love it. It's stupid. This episode is going to be stupid. If you thought it was stupid now, you just wait.
Dude,
Go to
for-
Patreon.
For how much we went off the rails, I was thinking, I'm like, our fucking Patreon garbage cookies is going to be fucking bananas.
I know. It is. And it's going to be great. You know who thinks so? Carol. Wait a sec. This is a much longer episode of dumb shit. Call us, leave us a voicemail, tell us a story, anything. 1-920-345-7005. 1-920-345-7005. We love you so much.
We love you.
Thank you for all of your support. Bye. Love you. Bye.
This is what, oh yeah, love you, bye.
I need to hit something super quick. Your mom. No,
Dude, your facial wind up was only like 0.2%, but I know you so well, and I was like, here we go. Buckle up. Carol to Disneyland. That's when they knew the fucking show's going tanked. It's like they go overseas.
jump the shark. Yeah, jump the shark. It's like
Jump the shark.
SVU takes a trip to Hawaii. I'm none the wiser. I'm like, I love this episode.
Carol's
And
a
then-
tiny coconut. Carol!
And then Munch plays drums for the Beach Boys, and you're like, hell yeah.
And they're all standing on one long surfboard going. Whole cast.
All right, God, why could we not work in the Mad Men era?
I know.
I would have just been like sucking dick for my paycheck, you know? All right.
To our Elite Squad patrons, Marisa M, Elke H, Tricia S, Emily T, Katarina G, Mary D, Joshua H, Eliza W, Nikki B, Melanie G, Andrew, Miranda B, Lauren T, Katie A, Kate H, Vanessa, Lex, Shelby K.
Kimberly L, Bonita R, Maren, you were saying it all the wrong syllables.
I know.
Ursula, Catherine M, Kate P, Jessica S, D, Jana M, Tammy J, Bear,
Sam D, Mac Attack, Meg M, Alexis, Jesus, Alexis J, Caitlin S, Christina D, Camille Z, Maggie D, San, Jessica P, Victoria, Scout G, Melissa M, Desiree R, Monica K, Katie S,
Brenna T, Andrea M, Tash, LH, Andrea H.
Oh.
As Gabe lives and breathes.
my dear sweet Aunt Sarah. Hi.
Aunt Sarah. Katie H, Vern, Catherine B, Ariana, Madeline K,
Kristen F, Samara B, Amanda P, Mahalia S, Jules K, Julie R, Tracy, Rachel, Kitty Cat, meow meow. Ew,
Meow, meow.
sorry. Carrie M,
Lem, Leilani J, Alex, Samantha S, Angie W, Ariel E, Becky A, Amelia T, Margaret S, Natalie B, and Emily D. Thank you.
oh, look at little Walter. He was stretching in the background. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys so much. I hope you didn't hear him snoring. I kept trying to like jostle him because he was like our whole recording. I love him.
Oh my God, that guy texted me. He wants to hang out tonight.
He wants to hang out today?
Yeah.
Does he want to meet your best friend, or have you not even mentioned me? Oh my fucking God, Gabe.
I was like, oh, I'm recording today. And he was like, send me the link to the podcast. I was like, no.
Aw.
It's a lowbrow no.
Oh, is he?
Plus, I'm always like, ew, guess what fucking beard I sat on the other night? Like,
Is this my jizz shirt? I'm not sure. Who's jizz?
oh my
jizz is
God.
this?
I gotta stop. I'm never gonna find a husband. All right, let's get out of here.
All right, I love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
We were funny today.